guys, what are we going to talk about this morning? Well, we're going to talk about a little bit of disappointment, not in the knife, just in something that happened. So I will put in the description down here, I'm going to put a time marker which gets you past, if you don't want to hear any, I know some people say they don't like to hear like creators talk about the difficulties and frustrations in making content. So if you want to skip that, I'm going to put a time marker so you can just see and just scroll past that. But this is the KIZER T1. This is a really, I'm kind of conflicted on it. It's got, as a KIZER, it's got some things that I don't necessarily like, that I'm a fan of KIZER, but they have a tendency to do a few things here and there that I don't like. So it's a really nice knife. So we're going to get into it. We'll get into some specs and stuff. And like I said, if you don't want to hear me talk about the difficulties with filming the original First Day in Pockets video, you can skip to the time that is at the bottom of this. So guys, let's turn this around and take a look at it from above. But first, turn down the volume, because here comes a little bit of music. So this is that first intro. If you don't want to watch this, you can skip to the next segment. But so this knife actually got a first day in pockets video. This is the KIZER T1. And I don't know what happened with that video. And I'm going to talk, this is just a little segment. Like I said, if you want to skip to the next segment, I put a timestamp and I'll put it down here again, where you can get past this segment. But if you're a content creator, there are things that happen that really can be frustrating. Sometimes it's lighting, sometimes it's audio issues, sometimes the phone starts ringing in the background, or you forgot to turn a device off like I did earlier here just a second ago, and it makes a noise notifying you that it's turning off or powering down. And that can be frustrating, and a lot of times you can take care of that in post with audio editing and things like that. But what happened was I shot an entire video about this knife. And the issue I had was it came out great. All the segments look good. I went through the editing software and I took it. And when I tried to upload it, so sometimes you don't notice, when I would try to upload it, I uploaded it to my hard drive and I saved all the source video files, and I uploaded it, and I was pretty happy with it. It was a pretty good product. The audio was really good. And I was like, oh, that's great. But every time I tried to upload that file to YouTube, it wouldn't accept it. And so I went back and I tried individual segments, and all of it, for some reason, none of it would work. Now, here recently, there was an update to YouTube, and that's about the time that some of this happened. And so what I think it was that video somehow was just not in a format that YouTube accepted. So I downloaded and paid for $20 for a set of software called Switch that allowed me to change the format of the video from MP4 to RAW to all kinds of different things, and none of it worked. And so I literally spent about an hour probably about 3 hours a week messing with that video, because I was really happy with how the video came out. And it just turns out it was unusable. And we all have those as content creators. I like to call them ugly babies, and you just don't want to show anyone. This was not the case. So we're going to go ahead and we'll get into this, and I will start getting specs. But just to let you guys know, this did get a first day in pockets. So just a little bit of the behind the scenes. My paying subscribers usually get videos like this where I talk about some of the stuff that happens and things like that. So let's go ahead, and we're going to go to the next segment. I'm going to get some specs. I'm going to get some weights. I'm probably going to do a spec sheet on the side, like I usually do. But that's, if you guys like it better when I read, also, if you're watching this part, if you like it better for me to read the specs out instead of putting a spec sheet, let me know. I can change back to the way I was doing it. I've done it. It doesn't seem to matter either way. It just makes the videos longer. So there you go, guys. Just a little insight on this Friday. I was like, I'm not going to be able to shoot the podcast with my buddy Polly. So let's go ahead and do that. So there you go. There's 3 minutes of me ranting about why this video. This is such a beautiful knife too. It sucks that because I brought up some really good points in that first impressions video. So, all right, guys. Stand by, and we'll get into the actual video. All right, guys, let's get into this. This is the KIZER T1, and it is done by a company that, well, I'm not even gonna bother trying to pronounce that, but you can see it right there. I'm not even gonna try and pronounce it because I will screw it up. This is the KIZER T1. Now, this is done in 154 cm steel, and it is a really nice little liner lock. So specs on this, I'm gonna put off the side. The only spec we're actually gonna physically look at is we are going to look at the blade stock thickness and behind the edge thickness. So over here to the side is a spec sheet that you can look at. You can pause it and take a look at it if you want. That saves us a little bit of time in the video. So you're looking at a nice little liner lock done in 154 cm. And it is really nicely balanced, really nice and light. Micarta scales, canvas micarta. This is beautiful. I think this is black. I'm not 100% sure on the color, whether they call this black or gray. I don't know, because there's just so many different colors of micarta out there. This looks like some of the black micarta I used, and it is gorgeous. I'm not such a fan of this. You've got a lanyard hole back here, fairly deep carry pocket clip, nice. This is a steel backspacer, steel liners, thumb stud opener only, and it is on the inside. It's a little bit opened up on those liners to save the weight. They have definitely done something I love here, which is they hid the liners all the way around except for that. There's a lot of ways to do liners. This is one of my favorite and preferred ways right here. This is definitely done in a drop point fashion. Like I said, thumb stud opener only. And it has, I was talking about this when I shot the first day in pocket of this knife, the Firebird, the other day. These knives that I'm seeing that are having this as opposed to a straight transition for their flat grind, that are coming like this, are able to take a thicker blade stock, transition it down through their distal taper a lot thinner, and wind up with a much thinner behind the edge profile with a relatively robust and thicker blade stock. So yeah, this is a really good knife. There are a couple negatives I have to bring up. So let's go ahead and we'll get my calipers out and we'll do some blade stock thickness, some behind the edge thickness, and get that out of the way, and then we can talk about all that stuff. All right, guys, I've got my calipers zeroed out. I just used a 116 feeler gauge, 0.116 to verify it, so we should be good. Behind, let's see, blade stock thickness on this, and this is about what I thought. I thought it was about a 0.12. That is a pretty standard blade stock. It's fairly robust, 0.12, right on the button. So I have not looked at the specs yet. I'm not going to lie to you. I will look at the specs. The only thing I have looked at is price point, and I'm gonna put it down here. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm actually not going to put it down there. We're going to talk about it in a second when we get into that point of it. Behind the edge thickness on this, I'm trying to get right behind the edge, 0.022, which is, we got flies. It's summertime here in San Diego. We got flies all over the place. 0.022-ish, which is a pretty good behind the edge thickness. It is something that is pretty well-rounded, it's robust, and it is slicey. So let's go ahead and get this calipers out of the way. All right, now let's really talk about the knife. So, like I said, this is a very, very comfortable knife. Really good things about it. Nice, solid action. Lockup is about 50% on this. I'll talk about that in a minute. 154 cm blade with a nice belly. I wish it had a little bit more flat. It is really cleanly done. There's only a couple things I really don't like about it. Like I said earlier, I like the fact that they did a really good job hiding these liners completely, except for right here. In hand, really comfortable to a point. It's another one of those knives that, like, when I get down on it, can you see how, like, when I hold down on it, it wants to rotate out of the direction of the cut? Let me show you again. And I'll tell you why I think that happens. When I get a hold of it and I crank down on it, it's out of the direction of the cut. It does not align with my thumb. And I think 100% that it's this big, tall pocket clip. Once again, guys, I don't like these pocket clips. There's a better way to do this. I have taken the pocket clip off of this, and it's not as prominent. The pocket clip, as you can see, is a hot spot. I probably wouldn't buy this knife unless I knew I could find a pocket clip would fit this. But like I said, you can definitely find pocket clips with that hole pattern that you can just drop on and screw on. Like I said, not a fan of that. But for all other intents and purposes, this knife is really great. If you get up on it like this and you're doing up front detail work up on this, on the rounded area, it does work really well. It cuts cardboard really well. for cutting purposes and cutting uses, you can see that screw's not all the way in yet. I think I got the screws out of position. I think that one's supposed to go in the front. I took the pocket clip all the way off to do cutting tests because I wanted to give her a fair shot. That being said, there's a couple little things that I just 100% don't like about this knife. The action on it, the detent on this is very heavy. For a thumb stud opener, I don't like, it doesn't bother me. I've got good, solid, tough hands. I'm a knife maker, knife designer. I've worked with my hands for years. And so it doesn't bother me to have something that is a little stiffer. But for a lot of people, I'm not gonna lie to you, I handed this to a couple people, even though that's nice and snappy and stuff like that. I had a couple people that were like, man, that really hurts my thumbs. I mean, even me, you can see like it's digging in. If you miss it, you're like, ooh, wow. You kind of get, I did that on purpose, but you can see, because I got calluses, you can see where it's pulled some of that callus material. It is very, very stiff detent. And the fact is that those milled thumb studs are definitely sharp on those edges. While that really gives you good grip and everything, it can be very sharp and uncomfortable. Like if you've got soft hands, you're gonna have a problem with that. So I don't like that. And then I don't like the fact that this is pretty much a new knife and you're just at about 50% lockup. So I don't know if that's intentional. I do know that like 50% lockup is not bad, but a knife that is fresh new out of the box, where did I put here? Let me show you, like granted this is a frame lock. I've got this in pocket because it just came back. I had somebody borrow it. That's not late lockup. That's not really early lockup. That's about where I would like to see it. This actually, I think, is a little bit early, but this is better than that because I just feel like that's going to lead to early lock stick, early lock walk. That lock's going to have time to walk over, yeah, a little bit. But if you're already at 50%, that means that lock is not going to last as long. Now, granted, let me make sure I say this because somebody said something about something in a video about straight razor sharpening. I know it would literally take years and years to get that to walk over, unless you're one of those guys that just sits and fidgets, which I've heard people do that. I don't. That is the worst thing you can do for your knives. Get a fidget toy. But yeah, that's the kind of the things I got. But when you look at it, this thing is gorgeous. And at the price point of $79 on Amazon, it's the only place I could find it. So I will put an Amazon affiliate link to this down there. This exact knife, $79 on Amazon, not on Blade HQ. They had the full titanium version. It's great, super comfortable in hand. Oh, I meant to mention this. So the scales are contoured in a fashion that you really can't see it, but this is nice and round. And then, can I get it on video? You can follow this down. There is a central, or a ridge across the top where you can, it's nice and round here and then it drops in. And it's nice and round here and it drops in. It gives you a tactile feel in hand, especially with the garbage pocket clip taken off. Guys, start making pocket clips. Don't just use a stock pocket clip, guys. Let the designer design the pocket clip for the knife. Don't just use whatever's on the shelf. But that gives you a very good tactile feel. Another knife that was a lot like that was the Artisan Arroyo. It had one that went down the middle, and I loved that. And this has kind of that same thing. So starting about where you see that dip, you can really see it really pronounced there. That runs the full length of the knife all the way down to here. And it gives it a comfortable tactile feel. You can see it right there. I love that. It's great. It's a little piece. It's just a little thing that you can feel, not so well with that pocket clip there, but it gives it, and there's no jimping. Like for me, I don't need jimping on a knife. And the fact is there's no jimping, especially no jimping here. Nice access to the lock bar. It's just an all around really good knife. There's just only a couple small issues. Really heavy detent, early lock or late lockup for a new knife, and a pocket clip that just is abysmal. But it's not a complete showstopper. So there we go, guys. Let's turn this around and do some final thoughts and send you guys out about your way.
So like I said, guys, interesting knife. I'm not a fan of the pocket clip, and I think that the detent on this is a little strong. And I use this as an example for what I consider as a new knife. I don't necessarily like the lockup to be that late. I don't like it to be early. I don't like it to be late. I like it to be just in that like 15 to 25% Goldilocks zone for lockup. But I don't think it's going to fail. So guys, that's it on this KIZER T1. If you like the videos, give them a thumbs up. If you don't like them, give them a thumbs down, but please try to tell me why. I can't change the content if you don't tell me what you don't like. I know you guys can't see the downvote count, but I can, and I use it as a tool to know what videos you guys do and don't like. But like I said, can't change if I don't know what's wrong. If you want to support the channel, it's as simple as like, share, subscribe, drop a comment, hit the bell icon. If you do hit the bell icon, make sure that you have notifications turned on your device, or you won't get notified of the two, usually actually 3 things that go up a day. Other ways you can support the channel. I have a membership down below. It's all tier-based. Pick a tier that suits you, that gets you what you want out of the memberships. But remember, everyone saves $5 off of my sharpening service, and everyone gets access to my gilded server. Other ways you can do it, I have affiliate links down below. 2 of the big ones that I really like to push: Coffee Brand Coffee, because I like and support what Jeremy is doing, and Blade HQ, where most of the things you're going to see on this channel can be found. There's other stuff down there, sharpening stones and tools and things that I've made recommendations for as well. But it doesn't cost you anything extra at checkout to use my affiliates. It supports the channel. And the last way is I have a merchandise store. This is old school merch that I did once a long time ago, but I have set up a coupon code that works anywhere on Ember Shirt Co, where my merch store is, and that coupon code is CrazySharp, all one word, CrazySharp, capital C, capital S, saves you 10% at checkout. Guys, that's it. And like I said, I will take, if you take a picture of you wearing my merchandise, I'll put it in a video. Guys, I love you all. Keep it clean in the comment section. If it's your birthday, happy birthday, and I will see you in the next video.